thing. We'll move over to the next topic, the PDP crisis. Over the week, there were a court ruling. The PDP, we had about 3 rulings from high courts. Court of coordinate jurisdiction is surprising because we are still talking about issues like this during elections. That's when you see more of this, where you see a court deliver ruling, another person goes to another state to get on the same level of court, court of coordinate jurisdiction. I don't know what's your take about this, Barrister, this thing, because the very first one was an high court in Rivers State asked the acting chairman, the national chairman of PDP, which is Secondros, not to act again. There was another one again in Kebbi. Kebbi said restored him back to. Then the latest one was on Friday, where a Cross River Court, High Court 2, asked him not to parade himself or restrain him from acting in that office. What's your take on this?
My take on the issue of our courts being used by politicians, to get favorable orders to perpetuate selfish political agenda is that of an embarrassment, not only to lawyers or judges, but to the entire country. How do we explain it? People getting orders by ex parte application for something as monumental as either telling national chairman of a party that's supposed to be an opposition party, which it is not anyway, or to take that person after a court has given another restraining him, that the person should continue to act in that capacity by ex parte application. Those who are lawyers, they know the meaning of what I'm talking about. It is shameful. We are ashamed. I feel ashamed. It explains the level of desperation. The political class, they are not ready to go by protocol. They are not ready to follow any procedure. But when they are in power, they want the people to follow procedure. It's the same thing. Everything is linked together. Everything we are discussing here, every issues we are facing is linked together. Just like we want the medical doctors to follow procedure in getting their salary. When government is not following procedure, if government has paid them, they will not go on strike in the first place. It's the same thing here. Those in power, they are not ready to follow any procedure. Come to think of it, the order that emanated from Rivers State High Court,
yes,
to me, it leaves much because I don't see how an ex parte application is moved before a court to restrain a national chairman of a party
from acting
PDP from acting. Elementarily, as lawyers, as practitioners in that field, a judge that is not interested should have asked the applicant, the litigant, to go and put the other party on notice. Let me hear both of you out. Let me know what you are talking about. Supposing it is based on concocted facts, but that was made expressly. And Rivers State is notorious for this kind of thing. Even during Obaseki trouble with the PDP, it's the same. This Rivers State is becoming a house of this kind of peculiar orders. And after that, we have not recovered from that embarrassment. Another order came from Kebbi, saying the execution. Yes. Because no matter how bad is the order from Rivers State, it is an order of court. We are ashamed of this, but it is an order of court. If it is not set aside by proper procedure, you'll be banned by that order. If an order is given against you, you know that this court does not even have jurisdiction to even hear this matter in the first place. You know that order is not, it cannot stand. If you don't take steps to ensure that you go before a higher court to set aside that order, or you go before the same court, if you have grounds to say, well, maybe they have come by way of fraud, they have come to suppress facts and all of this, my lord, set aside this order. It is not justifiable. It cannot stand legally. If you don't do that, you sit in your house and you say, it's not my business. You'll be banned by that order. If you do anything contrary, that will be contemptuous of the court. But before we recover from that embarrassment, another order now came from Kebbi, saying that this person who has been restrained should not, my brother, look, logically, is it possible for a high court to ask somebody on ex parte application, not even motion of notice that is argued, on ex parte application to ask somebody that look, go and be acting. It's like a reverse. It's like putting a vehicle, driving a vehicle on a reverse form with a reverse gear. It is not, to me, I mentally, you know, it's doing a lot of violence to me mentally. I cannot comprehend it, but I know it is still the antics of our ruling class. It is the level of desperation of our politicians to ensure that anybody who is able, including the judiciary that should be sacred, anybody who is able to attain their goal. As it is today, if there are 3 orders of court, one is saying secondary, I restrain you from acting as national chairman of this party. The party structure has now brought somebody on board. Another court is now saying that look, secondary go and be acting. Whichever way you look at it, if secondary is obeying one order, you will be disobeying another order. Okay. So that elementary principle of the fact that you are bound by the court order does not apply again. Because secondary has the right to choose which order am I going to obey. This place is trying to kill me. This place is saving me. I will obey this order. This one cannot even cite me for contempt. Because I'm also obeying another
court order.
Court order. So this is the level of confusion politicians, and this thing is very, very peculiar to PDP. That is why, you know, a party that is supposed to be opposition, it is citizens who are opposition of APC in Nigeria. It is citizens and not PDP. Just for them to manage their party. Now, conflicting orders. It happened during Obaseki. It's happening now, and the judiciary is the victim in all this, because it is not possible for you to convince a layman that this is the position of law now. When the government disobey court order, you know, say no, we are going to cite them for contempt. They cannot disobey court order. It's contempt. They will ask you, and every person is not able. They will ask you, what about the order of so called that the secondary didn't obey? You will now begin to explain. I know, you know, there's another. You know, he's making us look stupid every day. The politicians have to go into the court. They drag them, and NJC must sit up to right all this wrong. If there is a consequence for every sinful act, my brother, it's going to discourage sinful conduct. But when there is no consequence, sinful act will become culture. That is what is happening in our judiciary now, and we are the losers. Society, we are the losers. Not only lawyers, not only judges, but the entire society, because there is a collapse of national discipline. It's a collapse of trust and confidence the people have in the judiciary, when you don't even know what is. And come to think of it, when you get an order from this court, ordinarily, we have to, you take your matter to court. When you get an order from the high court, and people who are beneficiaries of that order are jubilating. Okay. As a lawyer, you can advise your client. They can't do anything. They have to go to a court of appeal. But before you know it, there's another court there at your backyard.
They will give another
order. Before you come from that, another court. We have 36 states. A time will come that we are going to have 36 conflicting ex parte orders in this country. If the agency does not sit up to ensure that any judge is sanctioned, nobody is sacred. If it is not done, we are hot soup.
Barrister Shakiru, when I got the last judgment on Friday, when I heard about the last ruling or order on Friday, what came to my mind was that, is the judiciary truly independent? And if they are, what is the NJC doing to ensure that this does not repeat itself?
My answer to your question is, you are trying to victimize, as usual, the judiciary. Have you asked yourself the role of lawyers in the whole of this shenanigan, this ugliness, this unthinkable affront to the rule of law? Our program is democracy and the rule of law. As you look at Nigeria today, does Nigeria strike you as a country based on the rule of law? Before we begin to say NJC, the judges filed those applications. My little friends, lawyers, senior advocates of Nigeria, filed the processes. The first process that went to Rivers Court to shop for an order. Now, the other one was also filed by another lawyer to go and shop for another counter order. Now there's another counter order. Now, my brother, the question you should ask yourself, I don't know whether it is the president of the country, Muhammadu Buhari, or Ibrahim Magu, who lamented that lawyers were destroying this country.
The president did that.
The president did that. If lawyers were loyal to their calling, because look, Nigerian lawyers were properly trained in etiquette and professionalism, but for the fact that Nigerian politicians have destroyed everything they have ever touched. Everything. I'll give you an example to show you how politics has destroyed the soul of litigation and law practice in this country. Do you know how many cases are waiting in the Supreme Court of Nigeria? 7, 10 years that have not been attended to. On the merit, all that should be filed have been filed. But on a regular basis, political matters are being decided by speed. Do you not see what Judge Owen said? That all animals are equal.
But some are more equal.
Some are more equal than others. You may be deceiving yourself that all Nigerians are equal. That is a grand deception. Politicians are more equal than the average Nigerian. Now tell me, in the whole of this, how do you tell young Nigerians who are still full of dreams what great things they are going to do for their fatherland? How do you tell them to become law-abiding citizens? Now, there's something very, very important about this ex parte order. It used to be abused in the areas of land matters. So thoroughly abused that the judiciary became so embarrassed. They now brought in a practice direction that no ex parte order should last more than 7 days.
Okay.
So that the ex parte order given by River State should automatically, at the end of 7 days, die a national debt. Right. Like my learned friend said, if the judge, now that's a very big if, I have no right to attack the judiciary. Even though we see things in the judiciary that make us shake our heads. Something is not right here. For in our being trained as lawyers, we are told again in our philosophy that justice, when justice is done, the average man, that Okada man, riding Okada, that man doing Keke Marwa, that man riding public bus, must be satisfied that, yes, that court has done justice. But if the average man looks at a court in a matter and shakes his head, what sort of a judgment is that? Then, justice has not been done. Hence, it is said in our training that justice must not only be done, but it must be manifestly seen to have been done. Manifestly. So, the law is beautiful, but the application and the applicants, who are those who are interpreting our laws? Who are the lawyers? If some of the things we do here and get away with, if we were to be England, 75% of the lawyers here will have lost their license. Even do it, because you know that you will lose your license.
But at what point do you say that a judge can express discretion? Because that was what came to my mind, that ordinarily, just like you, I think you said it, that why can't the judge say, no, there's something on this already from a state? See, wow. At what point do they exercise their discretion?
From the way ex parte orders have been abused.
Okay.
When people get ex parte orders, I was rule of ex parte, in the interim, there's a distinction between ex parte orders and interlocutory orders. Okay. Both orders are pending the final determination of the main suit. So we are saying that ex partes are usually shorter than interlocutory injunctions. Now, when a matter comes before a judge, especially things that are politically volatile, like he said brilliantly, the leadership of PDP should not be something you just toy and destroy. What would the court, the distinguished judge who first gave that ex parte order, what would he have lost if he insisted, my learned friend, I'm not going to grant this order, go and put the other side on notice? To put the other side on notice would have obeyed a fundamental principle of law. For we operate on two basic principles when you're talking about fair hearing. We say audi, and pattern. That is, you must hear the other side. And then the twin, the counterpart of that is nemo dudet in consensual. You shall not be a judge in your own case. If we had the opportunity of examining some of our judges, you will see that some of them may not necessarily be card-carrying members of some political parties, but they are the advisors to some political parties. What do you make of administration of justice in this country, where an innocent lawyer goes to court representing his clients, then the judge calls the litigants and say, I don't like that lawyer you are using. I'm going to give you a lawyer that will represent you. What is the value of justice that we will obtain? He can say that I'm trying to be comprehensive without necessarily condemning the judiciary. Before you condemn the judiciary, or as we are condemning the judiciary, please use the same big stick to hit us lawyers. A lot of us lawyers, we have been disloyal to our calling, to our ethics, to our professionalism. And then the politicians of this country, they have destroyed everything that they have touched. Unlike Midas are who, whatever I touch, turn to gold. Politicians here, they are lepers. Whatever they touch become lepers. Hence, this country is where we are. Now we have how many court orders? Of coordinate jurisdiction, one from Rivers, another from Kebbi, the latest from Cross River. You know the funny thing here? You are giving me the invitation to come and speak to this issue. Before the third order was given, you thought we were going to consider just the first order and the second order. Which one would second us? Pick. And my learned friend has said, hey, when you have this countermanding or contradictory orders, he has a choice. He's put to his selection to pick one. But let me disagree, just very slightly. We use this principle when a council is faced with two different decisions from the highest court of the land on the same principles of law. One was decided a particular way, and the other one was decided not exactly the first one, the way the first one was decided. Now, justices of the Supreme Court have said, when you are faced with such a difficult choice, like soldiers say, you obey the last order. So in this case, without necessarily saying it, because myself I am confused, without necessarily saying so, Secondus will have to obey the last order.
He did. He actually did, because he asked the other person to preside over the meeting they had yesterday.
When I watched a particular television yesterday at about 10, when it was being touted that he has stepped down, immediately his spokesman came out that Secondus is still very much in power, he has not stepped down. You see, confusion. You remember Fela's song? We are confused. Like he said, like my learned friend said, what distant lawyers will have done if, and now I'm not attacking anybody anyway, but what we would have expected was, the moment Secondus lawyers became seized, became aware of that first order ex parte, they would have gone back to that court post haste to ask the court, my lord, we were not put on notice. This is prejudicial. We have been judged without being heard. My lord, we urge your lordship to vacate this order. Hear us on the merits. Like he said, if the judge is not a masquerade, if the judge does not have a vested interest, but how many Nigerians can we trust again? Do we not see when the case of Oyinlola was being done, how some senior advocates of Nigeria nearly lost their practice? That when the matter was going on, lawyers were busy talking with members of the panel. Sir, we should be sorry for this country. Everything, as in everything, is upside down. Politicians had better watch it. They have destroyed the trust of the average man in the belief of the average man in the rule of law. But such a destruction, we want to come back to haunt them. Now that somebody, like we said of the medical doctors the first time, that they are now being ordered to go back to work. And somebody like said, out of you they have been ordered. And they followed the example of politicians. After all, politicians too are disobeying court orders. What will happen to us?
Well, we just hope that the NJC will do something to resolve the whole thing, and so that the nation can have.
The NBA too should do something to chastise lawyers who are doing this nonsense.
Okay, so I guess during your conferences, you are lawyers.
We only
you will do it.
To blow grammar.
Who preside on the conferences?
Who preside on the conferences?